U.S. President Donald Trump launched his most aggressive foreign military action yet, attacking Venezuela, capturing its president, Nicolas Maduro, on Saturday, and promising to put the South American country under temporary U.S. control.
So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
Trump said the dramatic overnight operation knocked out electricity in part of Caracas, with Maduro captured in or near one of his safe houses.
All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night.
A social media post by Trump on Saturday showed a picture of Maduro with the caption, "Nicolas Maduro on board the USS Iwo Jima." The image appeared to be taken from a printed photograph. Reuters was not able to immediately verify the location as the photograph was tightly cropped. Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, who was also captured, face drug trafficking charges in New York. Trump's vision for U.S. involvement in Venezuela, sketched out in a Saturday news conference, left open the possibility of more military action, ongoing involvement in that nation's politics and oil industry, and even, quote, boots on the ground. But it is unclear how Trump plans to oversee Venezuela. U.S. forces have no control over the country itself, and Maduro's government appears not only to still be in charge, but to have no appetite for cooperating with Washington. Maduro's apparent successor, Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, appeared on Venezuelan television Saturday afternoon to decry what she called a kidnapping.
Exigimos.
We demand.
Okay, sir. Welcome to the show. We had a lot of fire in action. So this is the scene of events, what has happened in the last 24 hours. And ye to banta hai. We have to cover this. Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and it's great to see you in 2026, and this being our first podcast. And as the year began, we had this, big operation by US on Venezuela, which nobody thought would happen this way. And in the history of such operations, this is one of its kind, where you enter a sovereign country, pick up its president and his first lady, and bring him to your own country, 2,500 kilometers away. So yeah, this is something new, and as promised by so many astrologers and people who prophesy a future, 2026-27 would be the big years of war and disruption in the world geopolitical scenario. So yes, that is good.
The interesting part, sir, is that this kind of a mission, which is described in real world, I played it in a Call of Duty video game where the objective is to abduct the enemy state of head and bring him back. That's one of the games. This is the operation that one plays. So you are acting as a US soldier or some kind of that affiliate, and the mission is to extract that kind of head of state and kidnap him. So this is something which has been written in science fiction before, but now this become reality in some way.
I think whether you know or not, even Saddam Hussein, what US did then to Saddam Hussein, saying, alleging they have weapons of mass destruction and nuclear, nothing happened. It was all, all of this. If you see overall, it is all about crude oil and crude oil reserves. As you know, Venezuela has the highest amount of oil reserves in the world, and US has been totally after it that we sanction you, you'll not give it to any Western countries. What Venezuela has started doing off late, since the US had, dominance is reduced, started giving to China, which is the biggest importer of crude oil, Russia, and India. India takes around 0.5 or 1% of its, less than 1% of its oil, imports from Venezuela recently. But this was a big game, and I think after Hugo Chavez, who was the earlier, president till 1999, again a leftist and anti-US government. The election of Maduro, Nicolas Maduro, was again disputed because they said there were some not good things done during the election to get him there. It was, that is how they said, and that's how you see the Mario Corino Machado, who got the Nobel Peace Prize for Nobel Prize for Peace, uh, Nobel Prize. That is how I think the background was set. And I think what US has done is place its aircraft, these naval vessels, so that it can put pressure on the president. Thereafter, try to persuade him to go as per the US terms. Else, you face the music. He thought maybe he had a meeting with the China diplomats, and thereafter, he thought maybe the Russias and Chinas and such powers will help them, because China is again the biggest importer of crude oil against the wishes of US, and China has a lot of saying in that part of the country. Even if you see, they wanted to put pressure on Brazil, as BRICS was again a good competitor for US, hegemony. But I feel that China is quite away, and it will not interfere into Pacific Ocean, because US is too strong there. The aircraft carrier was already there, and it was just waiting to see the response. And then, see, what I feel is Trump has nothing to show since his presidency has started, and he has lost in all fronts, in terms of, if you see how his tariff plan has failed. So he wanted to show that I'm a strong man and this will be the decisive. So actually, if you see, he wanted to get the Nobel Peace Prize, but by this act he has done something which has not been done in last 1 century. So I feel that there is a lot to happen in this part of the world, and it will create a destabilizing factor in South America by what it has done. What do
It,
you say?
it,
Because you spent many years in US. What is your view on this?
So my point of view is it's a victory that they are looking. It's essentially they are going to take a victory lap and say that okay, this is U.S. power. We are still the king and we are still number one, right? So
Yeah,
this is the way that they are looking at things very very differently.
yeah.
And in my opinion, uh, it's really going to be such that we are in a era where all of the
Era of
people want
war.
they don't they not just war, but they want their
Uh,
stamp on everything that they do. They want to show that they are the dada, or they are the great people, that okay, we are only the number one people. So like I think this was a take I heard in another on the channels that I was watching somewhere, where let's say a parallel to this would be, let's say, in the South China Sea, where China is saying that
Taiwan.
okay,
Yeah.
Taiwan is part of our country, this is their policy. So but currently it is not in control of China completely. So to say that way, that okay, if they want to say that they are number one, like only it is a G2 world, where only America and China are the actual superpowers. If that is their statement, if China wants to make that statement, so then they will try to invade these countries to say that okay, this is what we feel. We want to make our power felt, and maybe right now it will be the situation that Taiwan still has a semiconductor facilities, due to which America might provide some limited aid in some capacity. But once we see right now, for example, the fabs which are there, the fabrication equipment labs which are making the chips, iPhones and so many other devices, they've already been shifted to Arizona. They've already been shifted stateside within American borders. So the question is that if all of this is gone, if TSMC as a company functionally brick by brick, it is lifted and sent elsewhere to America itself, where there is unlikely chance of happening an attack on the homeland itself. So if that is the case, then there will be a situation where it is so weak that there is no incentive, US incentive, for the Americans to defend Taiwan. So in my opinion, on whatever understanding I have, limited understanding, they will go and say okay, we are taking it and you can do nothing, or you will not do nothing, you will not do anything because it is not in your power to do anything. And the
See,
additional factor is, in this
mm,
compounded, is that at home this situation is getting worse and worse with their national debt, with their payments. They are not able to pass single budget bills easily. Heck, sir, like in my opinion, I'm telling you, they cannot even pass a bill in the Senate with 100 votes for naming a post office.
okay, yeah. So actually, you have hit the right points. See, the problem with US is the debt is rising, right? $36 trillion, and they have printed as much of dollars as is there in the economy. So what has been printed in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, such places, is double what they had to print. Now the economy has to go through a recession to correct this. They've tried into bitcoins and other such currencies, and they don't find any other way other than trying to correct the economy. Trump is trying to correct the economy, but the way his methods are too aggressive and at times going overboard. Now what he did with Venezuela, because no, but see, he's trying to first of all get something for his family, for his himself, in the sense that he says that I should be recognized as the greatest president of the U.S. As a country, and his those attempts have failed. So he said, India Pakistan war, I ensured the ceasefire. Even he says with Cambodia, such countries who are fighting. So point is that he's trying to create an image for himself in his second tenure, but nothing is working. The Euro Union is going away. The NATO forces started imposing, more contribution from the NATO countries. The Ukraine-Russia war, he's been trying very hard, but now Russia is in a very strong position, so it will not try and recede and listen to, or he'll get the ceasefire on his terms. Zelensky is on his way out. So what has happened for Trump is nothing has happened till now. The only easy, way was to punish Venezuela, because see, you never attack a nuclear power. You always attack a there's a Molla ka dada. He'll try and he'll not challenge people, his peers, because he knows he's not sure. And US defense systems, and what I've heard is that their ammunition is in such a limited quantity because they've given it to the Ukraine war. They cannot run a war very long, tenure of war. So what they will do is they will try. He'll pick small countries whom he can, bulldoze and try and show. See, we have done. But he went overboard. He was trying to dominate, but you can't pick a sovereign country's head of state and bring him to his own country, kidnap him. And now he's
Like,
saying that I will put a president of our choice, and the background is that it was because of the drug peddling and the smuggling. See, for smuggling, you don't capture the head of a country, right? You don't kidnap a head of a country.
yeah, so the thing is, well, I don't know how much truth is in that or not, because I am not the right person to judge. But according to them, and even according to previous US administrations since a long
Yeah,
time, and according to so-called EU and others, like
yeah,
who are they to judge, or who are we to judge? But in their image or in their understanding,
hmm.
Maduro was supposed to be the illegitimate president of Venezuela. Now,
2024
uh,
elections. Yeah, hmm.
yes, like
They
to
were
what
rigged.
extent, what, I'm not aware, so I will not comment on that one. But in so-called international community, he was supposed to be the illegitimate one. So their reasoning is that, okay, we are not captured head of state, we had captured somebody who is sitting in
Illegitimate.
power as a dictator.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
they are saying they captured a tin pot dictator like Saddam. Like,
That is what
this
they
is
did. And
this is
Saddam, that way, if you see, I remember that Saddam was actually was doing good to Middle East or West Asia, however you call it, because all these ISIS and such, radical organizations were kept in control because of Saddam. And after Saddam, if you see, Iraq has literally broken up. Okay, so they have done more harm to such countries than doing good, and this is just a way to take control of the country's natural resources. If there is a country beside you and you are a strong power, and if you see that he is going to affect your economy, because oil will still play a important factor for some years to come, and if he's not listening, just take over. It is a little takeover of the country.
and they are saying in the video that the US is going to run Venezuela for a certain amount of time. This is what they are saying publicly. Okay,
Yeah,
so
they have literally taken over. I was just thinking, what would the normal civilians and even the military, it's a matter of shame for them, if the military of a country in its presence has to see a situation where the head of the president of the country being taken away, and they couldn't do anything. And if we
yeah,
go through
yeah,
the operations, now let's discuss what the operations could have been, right? So what they did is they had a plan. They thought maybe Maduro will step down, or he will take the pressure, and they can put a president of their choice. So they put the aircraft carrier there, and an aircraft carrier has all the wherewithals to attack a country like Venezuela. So you'll have your fighter jets, you'll have your missile systems, you'll have your naval vessels, frigates, you'll have your submarines. Everything will be there, right?
Yes.
So it's like it's like a attacking defense city, right? Floating city, a country, a floating country with the defense power near your shores. So there were some, I think small attacks on their boats, fishing boats. Many people had drowned, and they also attacked their naval vessels also. Okay, naval ships were attacked, and this was going on. But then they realized that Maduro is not, stepping down. So what they did, if you see the operation, it will be a mix of many things, the kinetic and non-kinetic actions, in my opinion. So if you see, what they did is they attacked the ports with the missiles so that no naval, intervention can happen. Uh, the capital Caracas, right? That is the capital. The capital was attacked, and what was done was, its power grid was, made of there was no power. Okay, you attack the power grid system, the servers, the control system. I feel there was also cyber attack in their power grid system, and their transport system. So everything was jeopardized. Everything was put into a manner of freeze, so they cannot react. So your naval ship, and thereafter you intervene, military, in a military operation, that you take your ground troops inside the capital. They even attack their defense headquarters, the entire defense paraphernalia, and you go straight. You basically jeopardize the entire defense mechanism. You go inside your presidential house, literally like what they did in operation with Osama or anybody, and you just pick it up. So this is one of the best operations possible, right? And the entire capital was put into a sabotage, in a way of sabotage, that nobody can come inside and affect the operation. And they did it very successfully. That is what we see. So in history, this will go as one of the operations where, like, for the normal citizens of Venezuela, it is a matter of shame, and it is a matter of what do you say, regret that their defense forces couldn't answer back, and the president, the most important person of the country, the first citizen of the country, was kidnapped literally from his bedroom. That is what the news reports say, that he was just extracted from his bedroom and just flew up on a chopper back to US. So this is quite drastic and more movie like, Hollywood movie, the way it looks like.
This is
I
what
think
I've
you.
seen. Yeah, yeah. I was saying this is like what I've seen even in the video game I talked about. It's very crazy that
Okay.
now the art is becoming real life. So um, kind
but
of
but but to get an operation like this, it needs months of planning. It needs days of preparing the battle area, ensuring that no naval their operation, their, what should I say, fight back. See,
naval
in a city
assets.
there is yeah, in a city there's a police station, and they attack three other states where the control of such counterattack could be there. The power grid was jeopardized. The transport system was affected. So entire, and even in a capital, there's a president, entire security system. They bombed everything, and they just literally took him away from his own hiding in a den. He was not hiding; it was the presidential house. So the way it happened is more movie-like, but there's a lot of planning, and everything went right for the US in this operation. Maybe because the Venezuelan defense forces, they depend on Chinese equipment. They depend on maybe some Russian old equipment. They are not a force to reckon with as strong as US. So initially they started, reducing their capability slowly with attacks on the naval vessels, attacks on specific, and internally also. I don't think so. This operation can be successful without, internal, people who are helping them out. As you say, na, ki, fort opens from doors with people who open doors from inside. ठीक है ना, तो
Yeah,
किले
and
के
and,
दरवाजे
and
किससे नहीं खुलते?
it's also that factor, sir. Like just like with India, in most other countries, when there is an act of sabotage, this quote always rings true from me, like from Major Gaurav, that he talks about कि किले के
Yeah,
दरवाजे अंदर से खुलते हैं.
under
So
I should actually take his name. This is he generally uses this though. Major Koravaria has been very, I should say, path breaker in using this term, right?
yes,
So,
yes. So like
so that is the
it rings true
reality.
from me
That is the
also.
reality. So that is the
Yeah.
reality because this cannot, because all the plans, the design of the building, everything was known to them. When you plan an operation, you should know where your, such forces, or if Marines were employed, they have not declassified
They were
anything.
Delta forces. I think
Delta
this is
forces were used.
yes,
So Delta forces again, they're like para commandos, right? So they go inside, you extract the person who want, you get the president and bring them immediately. So Delta forces were used. So if you see air power, naval power, and the military power, army power, all three, and I think there was an amphibious operation also. So on the
hmm.
coast when they attacked the naval headquarters and the ports and other
So
places.
yeah,
So
then probably they have the Navy SEALs with the amphibious part of the
yes,
operation. I
yes,
think.
yes. So for our views on amphibious, we say that it is both sea and land, including both. So
Acha,
operations involving sea and land. Yeah,
interesting story is the Marcos commandos that India has,
yeah,
we have.
yeah.
So they also train with the US sometimes, and
Yes,
uh, the Marcos commanders also do the BURDS course, which is the Navy SEAL course. So
yes.
I think India is one of the very few militaries in the world where the Indian commandos are also Navy certified SEALs. Like they are not, of course, with the US military, but they get the Navy SEAL badge also. Like I have seen that in the
No,
documentaries out there.
no, that is very small thing. When you do a joint operation, you generally exchange the badges. That is one thing. But we have been doing amphibious operations since ages. So, like
Yes,
in
yes,
in
yes,
our South India, we are doing amphibious operations, and they come to India because we've got expertise in these amphibious operations.
yes.
See, US, if US always has its confrontation wars not in its borders, always away from its borders. So if they want to have some operations in the Asia, or
Different
you say
terrain.
in different terrains, then you'll realize that they have to practice in a friendly country, and India has been a friendly country for some time. So these operations, joint operations, and Indian military is considered one of the best in the world. The first five, first three, first four, the rankings keep changing. But the fact is that they always have joint, like for the CI school in our northeast. All these Western country, troops, they come and train with us because we are best in counterinsurgency operations. Same for the amphibious operations, with the naval, exercises going on. So I think we are the best in all the three fronts. The Air Force air operations, exercises keep happening. So that is there. So what I'm trying to say specifically for this operation is all the three arms of the defense forces had been used in some measure. And secondly, I think cyber warfare was also used to jeopardize or sabotage their power grids. There may be rail
Yes, yes,
grids, and even their transport systems. The way we were discussing in our
yes.
earlier podcast. So without that, you cannot have such clean go in and come out.
Yes, yes, and I understand some aspect of that, like on the power grid front, because I in my professional career I worked on some
Mm.
projects which had to do with the energy grid or whatever
Yeah.
at some point. Yeah, and this is also in America, so I have seen the kind of things which are possible to do electronically to turn off on and off power grids and stuff like that with the click of a button. Like it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Essentially these are the SCADA based devices which are
Yes,
running.
yes,
So
yes.
they are going to such an extent that let's say that I was still the person who was doing this on a testing, but like they are running with production data. So like for a definite situation, like I wanted to see like whether this is an actual thing or not. So then
Yeah.
I checked like by looking up public information about a certain address, like some abandoned place. So I saw that
Right.
actually this place is existing, and they are having all the facilities that they're describing. And like if I actually press the button on my screen, which I could, it would have turned on the power in the entire area. Like that is the level of access
Yes.
for authorized person. So
Yes.
I'm imagining to say that somebody who has breached the position, or has gained malicious access, to
Mm.
much more higher extent than even some authorized person is eligible for. It's quite incredible to see like how amazing result this can produce in military operations. And I would hazard a guess to say that, of course, like even India also as a country, we have the capability, but we don't need to advertise. Like even if it is there, it is not necessary that
Nobody
we have to talk
advertises.
about it.
Okay, let me tell you how generally with my military communication expertise. See, what happens is there are ways and means you can first of all analyze and gauge the defense capability or security capability of a network, right? So if there's a power grid, like we've got a power grid in our country, there are various states, so there are various sectors, say maybe UP maybe having the biggest power grid mesh, Himachal, Maharashtra. So all these grids are divided into various zones, right? So each zone will have its own knock or server control mechanism, and pan India also there'll be a knock, right? So what happens is you have to distribute the energy in case any zone has a surplus. So you have to transmit that portion of extra electrical say amount into some other region which is a deficit, where there is a deficit of energy. So the grid works that way with the new systems coming in SCADA systems, as you mentioned. So, but everything is controlled through servers and your various codes, right? What if I put in a worm or Trojan or any such a malware,
Malware.
yeah. So any code inside the system. So what I do, these attackers first gauge the system, try to break through their firewall, try to break through their, the IPS and IDS intrusion protections, all the security paraphernalia, and try and reach that zone. And what they may do, they may put in a code, right, into the server, which may not be noticed by anybody. So it's not important that they'll attack then only. So you can put in a time bomb as a code there and decide on a time where you want to activate that code. So what I do is I put in those malwares into these servers. First, I analyze, gauge, plan my attack, and then I put in these malwares at the specific locations which will affect the functioning of the system, right? And then what I do is, say when I know, say the US forces had already had a D-Day is decided. So the from the White House, the D-Day is being sanctioned. Trump signs it in his way, the way he does, in a very dramatic way, and then he says, "Okay, you can go ahead." Once that go ahead is given, all these malwares are activated. As a malware is activated, the entire grid goes into, suddenly you find it is not working. It is a sabotage, and the entire capital was, dark. So it facilitates an operation wherein you want to send your Delta Force inside, extract the precision, come out. Before that, they may have also what in my opinion is also sabotage the police and the security grid of the civilian policing grid, so that they are also not able to communicate and they're not synchronized. So what happens is you are in a shock, and suddenly the operation takes place in, say, half an hour, 20 minutes, and it becomes a success because the responding capability of that country or that place is actually frozen. It is sabotaged, and by the time they react, the grids are on. See, you can't put a grid off for a very long duration of time. What you do, for certain duration it will not work, then all the what you should say, a boot, you boot on the systems, or you restart the systems, and automatically the code gets deactivated, and again the normal assumption starts, and then you also start knowing where the malware was, and you try to sanitize the system. So by the time you do that, your operation is already over. So that is how a cyber attack is planned, or planned for a future date. And
And
how to trigger that malware is, when the date is decided, just before that you send a very normal code, a very a message or a trigger which looks very normal. Once that message is received, automatically it for you it looks like a normal message, and that message actually activates the already residing malware in your system. So that
yes,
is how
yes.
a cyber attack is done.
And sir, so one interesting thing that I wanted to also show here is, so I found an article here online where they are talking about all the recent things. A very
Yeah.
interesting part is we've had lot of cyber attacks, from seven APTs, or advanced persistent threats, which are
Yes.
coming post Operation Sindoor. Okay. And many of these are flagged by government's CERT in team.
Yes.
Okay. But one interesting way is how they are doing it. Like sometimes, they are recording it through unauthorized access to vulnerabilities, or
Access, yes.
they are targeting the government, BFSI, healthcare,
See,
or
this
critical
second
infrastructure.
bullet which you see, the second bullet which you see, the 150 successful intrusions. Intrusions are done to check the assess the capability or the response capability of a system of a server, because it will also have its cyber security paraphernalia. So
Yeah,
how,
and
just to
then
check how strong it is, and once you
and
intrude, yeah,
and then I was going to say that they have some even funny malware where they will make a dance of the Hillary. So they will play some funny message on the
yeah. See, if I take control of your system is
uh,
like your PC or a laptop or a server, then I can decide what to play during the tenure of the sabotage. I can play a Sholay movie, I can play any music. So I take control of your system and I open any file and play it the way I want. So once
yeah,
that
yeah.
control over the system has been taken, then I can do what. So these attacks are named on different, visuals or which things which impact after the attack has happened.
And to an extent, even allegedly there was some kind of a breach of even the Star Health Insurance Company, supposedly, where a lot of data was leaked about health issues of Indians and stuff like that. Like, who's to know, like, how many sensitive political people also are part of the list?
If you remember, not long ago, we had this power grid failure in Maharashtra and even in, I think, some northern state of our country. And allegedly, it was done by Chinese attackers. And it was just to show that the vulnerability of our systems, right? There was no attack thereafter, but it is just to check the capability of the cyber attackers and also see your vulnerabilities, and also to prove you that, whenever we want, we can jeopardize your system. The same way it was done for the Venezuelan operation.
In fact, from due to warnings, right? Even our stock exchange had issued alerts that, okay, this is a problem. There is some
Mm.
kind of denial of service attack also. And then many of these threats were supposedly linked to actors in Pakistan. Now, one interesting part of thing is I discovered that there's already one entity which is named. I think it's called, yeah, this is APD 36. Okay, so there, they from Pakistan, there is a threat for APD 36, which is the um, you can say advanced persistent threat, where they
Yes.
are disseminating the malware, which is also called as Crimson Rat. Okay, so
Okay.
they are doing it through phishing. They are doing it through malicious emails, like
Yes.
like sir said in the previous podcast, like, don't ever
Okay.
open any emails that you're not sure about, so that you don't accidentally trigger any malicious code which is there. That
Yeah,
way
yeah.
you don't expose yourself to any danger or any risk like that. So that is the important thing to consider as well. Like, there's even been situations where DRDO also, like, they've had to try to target scientists also, where they are doing spear phishing. Now, spear phishing is type of attack where, when one particular person is working there, maybe they are a public figure in the
Specific,
company.
like a spear goes specific to a person. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So then you
Mm.
target one particular person to see that if that person can be vulnerable, if that person can be attacked. So this has happened. So I brought this particular list so
These
that
attacks keep happening, and the organizations who have been attacked or who were vulnerable, they don't disclose what the next step is, how to strengthen your cyber security paraphernalia. So how to
yeah,
ensure that you
yeah,
don't have these cyber attacks.
yeah. Even the so-called alert that well, not alert, but the so-called operation that uh, Banyan Chaddi, that the Pakistanis had attempt.
Okay.
So
So yeah, even in ops and those, see, whenever an operation happens, if I if I just shift from the Venezuelan attack to our, I don't know whether they've, I think they've given a name to this operation also, if I'm not
I
wrong.
didn't actually see it yet. Maybe it is there, but
Yeah,
I've not seen the name.
it is there. And what I was trying to say, from if I move from this, Venezuelan operation to our Operation Sindoor, before these attacks happen, whenever your systems, missile systems attack, you generally ensure electronic warfare your capabilities are used. You ensure that electronically you jam the enemy's capability. And also the cyber attack, all your whatever you planned, those cyber attack operations also launch. So your electronic warfare, your cyber attack already are in place before your kinetic action commences. So before the kinetic action commences, electronic warfare, your cyber attacks are already in place, and they have, affected the institutions or the networks which could have responded in this attack. So yes, this is how it happens, and even in Op Sindoor and even in the Venezuela operation, you find that they were used extensively.
One interesting part, sir, is that like at least there is no more details available. But I'm interested to see if there was any drone operations in this particular military op by the US, because I would be surprised if there's not.
No, drones will be used. America has been a front runner of using drones. We have started using drones recently, right? So we have been buying their drones, right? So I think the name of the operation was Operation Absolute Resolve. Okay,
Okay.
so it was uh, Trump's absolute resolve to finish
हाँ,
Venezuelan.
मतलब उन्होंने ठान लिया. This is what they are saying. हमने ठान लिया तो हमने कर दिया. बस
Yeah,
that is
no,
what
I
they are.
resolved now that I'm going to stop this Venezuelan approach of anti-US actions. That is how they call, and it was
Yes.
leaning more towards China and Russia. And now I'll get them under my control. So it becomes,
Yes.
yeah, a captured state, or that is how. All these, warfare, capabilities and actions and pre-actions are done before the kinetic action takes place. And drones will be used. See, you see, when you fly a fighter aircraft over an area, it has just some seconds to pass over a building, and if the strike is not precise, you miss, right? Again, it has to take a sortie and come back. But for drones, how you saw in Operation Sindoor also, there was a drone which was recording it, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
attack, and then the attack was coming from a different drone, or through the
Yes.
missiles, BrahMos, or whatever these missiles were used. We don't want to name them, but what I'm
It
trying to
is.
say is
Huh.
the
Yeah.
drones
Please go
will
ahead.
are now an inherent part of our aerial operations. So drones, either they use it as a footage, or even in the I think Osama bin Laden operation, the drone was an important factor to get him eliminated. So what I'm trying to say, drones would have been used in other buildings and such headquarters which would have reacted. Maybe the nearest police headquarters or the presidential security paraphernalia, their response teams. So drones will first sabotage them, and then only the actual Delta forces will go in with their choppers and go inside the building and extract him, with all their plans rehearsed, totally coordinated. And all these operations are synchronized: the cyber attacks, the electronic warfare, your drones going in, the naval attack on the ports, the other three states where the military paraphernalia can or the component can respond, and finally the Delta force, which is the final force which will physically get the president extracted, will get in. So it is a synchronized and orchestrated attack. That is how it is.
And I was talking about the drone specifically because somebody was kind enough to share this one article with me that
Okay.
they are assembling these cheap drones where, like, for example, if I had like just a few parts, I could print
Hmm.
this in my bedroom, like, because I have a 3D printer.
Yes.
Like, it is simple enough that with a few parts, maybe not worth more than 150 $200, everything I could assemble is for so cheap that this can be some kind of a weapon that can be made anywhere by anybody if you have the raw materials. So
Yes.
the design itself is so simple, and you can say kind of they are using this in a way where it's probably a micro sized drone, probably designed to carry other payloads. Okay. because if you look at it, this is a FPV drone. I didn't even think that this is FPV when I read the article. So I understood that this is FPV drone. This is supposed to be Variv something. This is the name of the company, and they are doing this since a long time. So like supposedly, but this image was the eye-catching thing for me to show, and that's the main reason
So,
I wanted
see,
to just kind of
you have to understand
bring it
one
up.
thing. Like the way you said that I can print it at my home. You have to understand one thing. This drone is just a platform which has the wings and it takes you off. But what matters is the load carrying capacity of that platform. I can have a very miniature drone just to spy or reconnaissance recce an area. But if I have to launch an operation, I need to put the munitions also as a load.
Exactly,
And to carry the
exactly.
munitions, you need a proper, military drone because the weather may not be good. So I have to, customize it, so that it is robust. Its architect, its design is so strong that it can take in, weathers which are not very, helpful.
Favorable.
So yeah, favorable. So what I am trying to say is these drones are military drones are totally different, right? These drones can be used for specific operations, small operations, the police and the civilian authorities. But the military operations, you have like Predator drones, which are famous in the
Yeah.
US, which we also wanted to get. And such drones have huge. They have you can have low or say low caliber missiles into it, and you can have destruction capability which is good enough as a which will affect the functioning of a organization. So I'm sure these drones were also used in this operation.
And then the interesting part of the discussion also is that Trump said he watched that operation like it was a TV show, you know,
Yeah,
like which
even
is the
Osama bin Laden,
story.
the capture of or killing elimination of Osama bin Laden, it was live streamed to the president of, I think, Obama's office.
Yeah,
So
that time
that
it was
will
over.
be
Yeah,
satellites. Now that is another thing. So there'll be dedicated drones which will capture the surveillance. Even in Op Sindoor, you saw how we could see the real time attack. We could see in a recording stage, but what the in the military DGMO office and the CDS's office, where you see that they track the live operation, and maybe the prime minister is also there, obviously. So, and there, what happens for the live feed of the operation? You have dedicated drones, and these drones communicate to satellite systems. Okay, obviously, you will not have your ground terrestrial networks in the enemy country. So they have satellite connectivity, and they are just transmitting the cameras, high precision cameras, are transmitting the real time feed through satellites to your country or the headquarters, or say Pentagon or White House. And the president or the person who is deciding these operations, the chief of the country, is actually seeing it, and the defense chiefs are actually guiding him, telling him how the operations are progressing. And even you may have a real time command and control channel connectivity to the people who are operating those drones, or people who are or say the aircraft carrier, the captain of that aircraft carrier, okay, or the commanding officer there, and even for the air operations and the military operations, the CEO of the Delta Force unit, who is or the regiment which is going through the operation, they'll all be interconnected through the satellite net.
I think that's the standard way of operating for any country of any
Yes,
significance
yes,
in this world. So
yes.
that's how
And
the standard operation was.
you will be also surprised to know that even Starlink satellites may be told pre-hand that we need more amount of satellites on the horizon there during that period of operation. That we need
Yeah,
more
and
connectivity.
I won't be surprised like if in future operations, like I know
Yeah.
that this is probably not the case, but like military has their own, but if military wants to augment their existing capacity for bandwidth or whatever it is, then I'm sure then the civilian network can also be used in
Yes.
case where
Yes.
it is
Yes.
required.
Yes, it is always you see every satellite has multiple transponders. Say like in our satellites which use the ISRO satellites, so there may be 36 transponders or 72 transponders, and out of that, two or four may be dedicated for. So when you say a satellite is for defense, if it is all the transponders are used for defense, then it is a pure defense satellite. Otherwise, all the generic satellites have certain transponders allocated to the government organizations. You may have something for the Doordarshan, something for the Home Ministry, and you have something for the Defense Ministry. In the Defense Ministry, you will have some transponders for the Navy network, some transport for the Air Force network, some most of a big chunk for the Army network. So these are there. But in case there's an operation and there is a requirement to give more bandwidth to the military operations or the defense networks, you can obviously just switch these services for the Doordarshan and other services for that duration, because the operation is of more national importance, and that
Hmm.
bandwidth can be directed towards these networks, and they can be told that this is a new frequency, you can add on these networks, and entire planning will be there. It will not be a real time issue, but first of all, the capability to take in more bandwidth should be there with the network, defense networks, and
Yes,
it
yes.
will always be rehearsed. It cannot be randomly given. Now you try. It will be rehearsed in case an additional bandwidth comes to the army network. They should have the capability and the expertise to take over and run the system. So that will be rehearsed ab initio, right? And that
Absolutely,
once a
absolutely.
situation comes, it will be dedicated, and they'll already be prepared, rehearsed with this setup, and they'll take on the additional bandwidth and increase the data rate, increase the speed of the streaming, right? So that happens. This is how it is done.
Totally, totally. I think that that is very much the situation at hand, sir. But I think this is what I wanted to discuss for today's podcast overall. Like, the state of affairs in all the ops that has happened in 24 hours. Like, I really enjoyed talking today. So
Yeah, I'm sure, because already all civilians will learn, like to see a real operation and some expert giving his views, limited understanding on the operation. But let me give you another view before we break out from here. Is
yes, sir.
what if US has given shown its capability and its resolve, absolute resolve in getting a state not going according to its terms, right? With this operation, or literally take over of the country. What if it does the same to other emerging countries like India? Okay, or see, China and all are the pariah states, but small countries who are trying to say Brazil. He tried a lot on Brazil, but Brazil being a big country, it is not easy to do such an operation. Venezuela is that way. Maybe the military is obviously this will not happen to India specifically, because our defense forces are quite strong and our capabilities we all have seen. But what if you see the headlines before this operation, a year before, after the elections, the same narrative is being put in India. If you see by CIA that the polls were rigged, okay, there was stealing of votes. No, it's just a point to point for our for our viewers. So what did CIA before takeover or regime change, say in Bangladesh or in Nepal, it does a similar. The narrative is same. The book is same. You just open that book chapter and follow this narrative. First, you have to create an impression to the people that the regime was not rightfully there. The elections were rigged. The votes were stolen, vote chori, and something similar. I don't want to get more details. And you also have a person ready to take over in case the regime change happens, like it happened for Yunus in Bangladesh. He was literally put by CIA and the US. And similarly, in India, you find a similar narrative is in building up. So obviously, we have to be wary, and all I think, say Putin or Z, everybody is watching it very cautiously. How this, because uh, US is now desperate to show its hegemony, and it still wants to prove that we are still the leader of the world, right? We run the world the way we want. That was shaking for some time. So what it caught us, a small boy near its shores, and tried to say, "कि नहीं, मैं अभी भी दादा हूँ." But what it's being trying. See, India has been encircled by Pakistan, Bangladesh has been, and Nepal in some way. Even Sri Lanka, there was a regime change. Okay, Maldives, you already have somebody who is not very. So all your neighbors are already put in place. Slowly, the action will come to India in some way or the other, and now they are desperate. So 24 elections, they were very sure that this regime change will happen, because the way this government is going, it has strengthened our military power by increasing more, putting more money into the procurements and defense capabilities. Now it is difficult to attack a country who is strong from an outsider. What you can do is you can weaken from inside. So a similar narrative is trying to be built for last 1 year or more, and that is what we need to think. And it's a point to think that such things are happening. It is not. It is, there is a the social media. Everything is controlled by the West. They will try and put in a view that things are not right. You're being cheated. The votes have been stolen. The rightful
E- e-
leader is not in place in the seat.
huh.
Right. So these
Even
things are
when
happening.
there was some kind of narrative by certain bigger YouTubers or influential people to
They
say
are
that
hired.
okay, now today Zomato, Swiggy riders will go on strike today, but on reality that narrative did not take hold, thankfully. But that was something that they tried to spread online, that okay, they're going on strike or
Even
whatever.
the
So
Gen Z here is trying to be given a very wokist and a very leftist, mindset that things are not right. I spoke to a few Gen Zs recently while I was traveling. They're thinking nothing is right in India, everything is stolen. So what AI does is sends you those reels and those videos which affect your mindset in a particular way. You don't see the reality. You try and you don't, and the way it forces you to close your eyes and not see the reality. So that is what is a point from my side, that we should be aware and we should see that these forces who try to create this problem internally are actually it's a real issue, and it is happening. If it can happen in Venezuela or Bangladesh, it can happen in some portion of some part of our country too. So we should be aware of this, and we should be more together and support the disposition, whosoever it is, whichever government is. We should support
yeah,
it and try to
and
be united and
yeah.
embolden, strengthen our armed forces.
And this is in connection to what I will take this forward and also say that especially now, like let's say in roughly 11 days, in at least where I'm in Maharashtra, there are going to be elections for the municipal level as well. So
Yes.
which means that Mumbai, which is the richest
Mumbai,
corporation in
Mumbai,
India,
yeah.
yeah, that will
It has,
go
it
up
is like
for.
the power of that corporation is like any other state in India, right? As
Yes,
so
yes, it.
financially powerful. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So because of that, there's a lot of things at stake where people will be manipulated. They'll be shown things in
Yes.
different ways. So one must think and have a rational mind. Like I will say, like when you want to make a decision on something that you think is important, you go talk to people in real life. Like you see what is the situation on the ground. Don't make your judgment on things that you just see online. So because online world is totally different than offline world, or what is the reality
Yes.
in person actually.
And you should know by these action who is benefiting. Somebody must be benefiting. Why this sudden, uprising has come up, or these ideas being floated? Somebody is initiating it for his own gains.
Exactly, 100%. So, who benefits? And
Yeah.
sir, on that note, we'll end
We'll end
today's
this
podcast.
podcast. Yeah. It was great talking to you on this topic, and we'll ensure that we have our discussions on burning topics, and we'll have both technical and geopolitical discussions on the same.
Yes, yes, of course. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time,
Yeah.
and we'll do